Hello, beautiful internet family. My name is Dan Davis, and I'm the creative director here at DansTube.TV, as well as the Fearless Drone Academy, which is the ultimate online drone course for beginners. And today I'm really unpacking the vertical mode that's available for the DJI Mini 3 Pro. More specifically, I'm answering the question of, how good is this true vertical video mode? What can you do with it? And are there any limitations to the vertical mode that they've given us in the DJI Mini 3 Pro? I've had a few people ask me what's available from this mode. Can I use active track? Can I use master shots? Can I use the quick shots? Is it limited in what's available to me? What is the whole go with this vertical video mode or this vertical shooting mode? And to be honest, it is a little bit limited in that capacity. You do have a few options here, but I was quite surprised that you couldn't use every feature. So firstly, you've got a really awesome option where you can do this regardless if you're in the vertical mode or in the landscape mode, but you can go up to 60 degrees looking upwards. So that means that you can get very unique perspectives looking up at trees, or let's say someone's walking along a bridge and there's enough space for the drone to fly underneath off to the side. That means you can actually angle the camera up to 60 degrees to get a very unique perspective looking up at someone, something, or even just looking at like cloud formation if you wanted to set up different modes. So it's pretty cool. You can go all the way down to 90 degrees as well if you look directly down, but that's a unique thing that's very cool about the Mini 3 Pro. The fact you can look up to 60 degrees, that's very impressive. As you can see from all the footage here, I'm looking up at some trees to give a very unique perspective that you wouldn't be able to get from really any other drone, especially from DJI. There are a few drones that offer this, but yeah, still very impressive that you have those options. Moving on to active track or the focus track mode. Amazingly enough, it's not available here. You have no option to enable focus track. So that means active track, spotlight, and point of interest are all completely off the cards for you if you want to be creating vertical videos. Now, this is a little bit of an annoyance. I can understand why it might not be possible or why it would be maybe not reliable, but honestly, it's going to make it very challenging for a lot of people who probably wanted to create social media content and wanted to actually use that active track mode or that spotlight mode and not have to worry about any annoyances or things getting in the way, not having to control the drone completely. But unfortunately here you don't have any active track modes or any of those focus track modes at all. You can use all of the video settings though, which is great to see. You can go up to 4K up to 60 frames per second. Some modes disable certain features. I know that if you're using active track, for example, you can only go up to 30 frames per second. So the fact that we can go up to 4K 60 with this vertical mode is very cool. There's no limitations there. And we can also use the slow motion mode as well, which is great because you can get some really unique slow motion shots in that vertical shooting mode, especially because this is probably geared more towards content creators who want to create reels or shorts or, whatever platform you're on. You're probably uploading on all of those platforms: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. It's kind of everywhere now. Even Facebook have got a bunch of reel options. So those vertical videos are becoming more and more popular. So the fact that you can have slow motion and also 4K up to 60 frames per second is really cool. And then moving on to the photo options, all of those modes are available. So you can take 48 megapixel stills, which I did for this test here. And you can take burst shots as well. And all of the other photo options work perfectly fine. So that's really cool. Videos and photos are fully functional with this vertical shooting mode, and you can unlock all of those features there. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on that vertical 48 megapixel shot. Pretty interesting that you can do that for a vertical photo. You do actually have the option to enable autofocus or manual focus. If you're looking at the flight screen, you can see off to the left-hand side of the shutter button, you can see it says AF. So I've got it set up in autofocus, but you can still enable manual focus in the vertical shooting mode as well. Just quickly before we move on with this video, if you are a beginner drone pilot and you're starting out and you're a little bit scared or anxious about flying your drone for the first time, especially if you've got a Mini 3 Pro, which is a relatively expensive drone, and maybe it's your first drone and you don't have any idea what to do or how to approach it, I do have a comprehensive beginner drone course, which has everything you need to know, 2.5 hours of content, 15 sessions, a bunch of really high quality resources that you can use all the time and actually make the world of difference to your flight experience. And there's everything in there that you need to become a confident, competent, and fearless drone pilot. So if you do want to check that out, you can use the code DANSTube to save 10% off the ultimate online drone course. Now moving back into the true vertical mode, and you can't use any other mode outside of video and photo. So that means master shots is off the table. You can't use master shots. You cannot use any of the quick shot modes, and you cannot use any hyperlapse options. So you really are limited to photos and videos. Luckily, all of the photo and video modes are available, which is really cool to see. I was wondering if the slow motion would be available as well, or if they'd limit the 48 megapixel option, but that's cool to see that photo and video is untouched. A little unfortunate to see that active track, or the focus track mode with point of interest, spotlight, and active track is just not available. You know, that's quite unfortunate that we can't have that in vertical video mode, especially, you know, the content creators that want to track their, you know, them on a motorbike or a push bike, or them running or jogging or whatever it is, you know, in a car doing something interesting. The fact that they can't create those vertical videos straight away with the active track is kind of annoying. You know, like, yeah, they can shoot it normally and then crop, but I don't know, it's just a little bit unexpected. I thought that was going to be available here. It's obviously like a limitation of the software that they've put in for some reason, maybe for safety, but just keep that in mind. A lot of people thought that that would just be available, and that's kind of why I made this video, because people, you know, just expect it to be available with all of the different modes, and that's something that's not mentioned. They don't tell you in a press conference or a release, they don't tell you what it doesn't work with. They just kind of tell you, hey, we've got this new mode, and it's kind of, until we test it, we don't know what it's available with. I did still have some fun testing out the vertical shooting mode. I think for most drone pilots, if you don't rely on that focus track mode, you're going to be probably completely fine with this, because you can create some fun bite-sized content for your social channels, and you can do it relatively easily, and you can also capture that 4K up to 60. I also found that when I was using like the timed shots as well, you know, that worked really well. The burst shots, everything to do with the photo options worked great. The 48 megapixel shots were great. So you can still use some unique features here. And I think it's just one of those things, it just depends on your needs. And if you're going to use this for social, because I guess if you're capturing it this way, you know, if you're capturing a vertical video, it's not really going to be a usable landscape video at that point. So you really need to commit to, you know, this being a vertical video and not a landscape video. Because if you capture something in vertical, you're going to be turning it side on and it's not going to look right. So you need to be very selective here. And if it's for social media, it's for social media. Otherwise, you're probably just going to want to use the normal landscape mode. But one of my favorite things is just that 60-degree angle up. You know, there's a shot here where I go up a tree and I start looking down, but initially I start with that 60-degree angle. So I'm directly looking up at the tree, and then as I fly up, I start looking down at the tree. Again, a very unique perspective that you couldn't get without the Mini 3 Pro. It's something that's quite unique here, and the fact that we've got that 60-degree angle up really does open up a few options here. So that's everything you need to know about the true vertical mode. It does have some unique offerings and some cool features that do make it a lot of fun to play around with, but I thought I would bring this to everyone's attention because I'm sure there are some content creators out there that were thinking that they were going to get this for the vertical mode, use it for their social media accounts and just create a bunch of vertical drone content. And, you know, a lot of people just assumed that active track would work, or they assumed that the other modes would work, maybe the quick shot modes. So they were kind of banking on that being a feature that they could use in the vertical mode. But I thought I'd just bring that to your attention because this does sometimes happen with software. It just gets limited for whatever reason, whether it's a limitation of the hardware, whether it's something to do with safety, I don't know. But there are some limitations here. I just thought it would be helpful to let everyone know. So anyway, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I would love your thoughts in the comments below, but I will chat to you in the next video. Peace.
I wanna know, wanna see it. Can I feel your grip tonight? Can't get this off my mind. Does it only control you? Let me in, I'll help you out.